Hey everybody, I'm January.
And I'm Marz.
And this is FEMMES LRG presents Femininity and whatever we want to talk about. Before we get into the topic, Marz, what we got on the docket? What's in the media today? What is going on?
It's been a doozy. It's been a doozy. Everyone is begging Cat Williams to close the portal. Um, it's been it's been a week, and there's an eclipse as we record this. So it's
Pray for us,
something's
y'all.
going on. We just left
Pray for
retrograde, and now we're in a lunar eclipse. I'm scared.
Yeah.
But let's just get into it. First up, why not? TYLA. So the VMAs just happened. Megan hosted. I think she ate. I only saw the clips. I wasn't awake for the
from
actual.
what I heard.
I think the crowd was going crazy for her. Like, she really has like found her moment. Anyway, so TYLA had got into it with the internet, specifically Black Twitter, and from what I'm understanding, the animosity is coming from when she accepts her award for whatever the VMA was for.
Whatever, yeah.
She's holding it, and she on the side. So the announcers for that category were Halle Bailey and Lil Nas X.
Mm-hmm.
So they're standing off to the side because now she has come up to the microphone and she's giving her speech. And as right before she starts, she's like, it's too heavy, I can't hold it, can someone hold it for me, in her South African accent. And she's looking over at Halle and Lil Nas X, and she's like, I can't, it's too heavy, I can't hold it. And so she gives it to him, and she's like, thank you so much. So when I first saw it, my original thought was that I thought she was doing like the annoying small girl thing where they're like, I'm too small, it's too heavy. But apparently there's some more subtext to it. So, Jan, thoughts?
Yeah, so when I first heard about it, I was just like, I'm indifferent of TYLA because I think people get really either upset with her or they're like trying to fight for her, and I'm just confused why we're talking about her. Like, I'm still like in that part of it. I think she's talented for that water song. I think it's great, but I'm just not understanding why we're like, I don't understand the infatuation. When I heard about it, I was like, oh, here we go. So I scrolled. But then when I saw the behind the scenes of like maybe possibly she really was looking to Nas X and not Halle so much or something like that. People were trying to put that narrative out, and I still scrolled up because I was like, this is just too much for my brain right now. Marz, what do you feel about it?
No, because I felt the exact same way. Like, she's a beautiful girl. Mm-hmm. Nothing she has done has moved me. Water is a cute song, you said.
Right.
And then you ain't never met a penny girl from Joburg or something that is what they prefer. Cute bops. I'm never checking for her. So when all of that was happening, mind you, I don't know if I've talked about it. I'm sure I have. I sprinkle it here and there. The South Africans. Me personally. I'm trying my best. I'm trying because this is, that whole culture is very foreign to me. I'm trying my best to be understanding of that. However, I can only give them so much grace. Specifically, mixed South Africans or white South Africans. If you're going to be anything, don't be a white South African around me.
No, that's the worst thing.
And I'm saying that right now.
That's the worst thing.
But right below that would be a mixed South African. Specifically just her, because she's been the only one that has put such a bad taste in my mouth with them. Yeah, I saw it and I was like, I thought she was just doing, like I said, I thought she was just doing the annoying, I'm so little, it's too heavy, I can't. But when you put two and two together and you understand the history of South Africa and colorism in that specific region, it would make sense why she would look to Lil Nas X as if he were the help. Don't take it up with me.
It's a valid argument.
It's a valid argument. I'm not saying that that's what that was, but I'm saying I understand where those people were coming from. Now, there, like you said, there were a lot of people defending her. I don't get that. I didn't even know that she was popping like that to have stands. But their defense was, from what I saw, was, oh, y'all just don't like her because she doesn't give struggle. She doesn't give ghetto. And yeah, no, it got there. It went there. It was crazy. I feel like I blinked and suddenly...
That's the issue I have with the diaspora. Y'all don't want to claim blackness until it benefits you. And it's annoying. Literally, a couple words of classification changed the difference from the both of us. We both pretty much, not the same struggle, but we had similarities. Like, y'all had apartheid, bro. Come on, bro. Like, it just... Anyway, one day we're going to have a diaspora episode. We've already talked about this.
Y'all not ready.
Y'all not ready. But until then, I just don't care about TYLA in the most like non-disrespectful way. Like, I really just think it's time to just let this discussion go. We understand what she thinks and how she thinks, and like, I think us as Black Americans, we gotta stop wanting people to acknowledge our culture if they don't want to acknowledge it. If they don't want to acknowledge it properly or have that respect, or they don't see it as respect, know our worth. Stop, like, you know what I'm saying? Feeding for this. Like, let's just stop. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, that one was, that one escalated quickly. But moving on to things that escalated quickly, Taylor Swift. So Taylor Swift finally opened her mouth and claimed, like, announced her vote for Kamala. Which, good for you. And Caitlin Clark was seen in the likes by the people that follow her, because that's how Instagram works. And she caught it. She was catching it from left, right, and center from the people that were supposedly fans of Caitlyn. But we had that Great White Hope episode, if you watched. If not, great watch.
Please go back and watch.
Great watch. January does an excellent job breaking down that whole stereotype. And as we've now been proven correct, it was never about liking Caitlyn, and it was only about liking Angel Reese. So, January.
I also want to point out, is this the same person that doesn't go on Instagram that much? That liked Taylor Swift's picture? I just wanted to put that in. Now look, I'm happy that she's not with like a fascist and like supporting a fascist.
Bare minimum,
like, I'm happy about that. Bare minimum, but right. But also, it's like, so you've been on the gram, so you've been on the internet, and you see these things. You just thought it was Taylor Swift, so you'd be okay. But now you actively see what we've been telling you is that your behavior and you not controlling your fans. Now you're seeing who your fans really are, quote unquote, which is okay, good. Now I need to see the response. Now I need to see how you conduct yourself afterwards. But of course we know what it's gonna be. But I just wanted to put that on notice. We gotta stop making people like her the victim. Like, that's literally all we're doing. So yeah, I was like, okay, that pointed that out to me. I'm happy that, you know, she's supporting Kamala if that's who she wants to support. But I'm just kind of like, so you are on the gram. So anyway, that was like my biggest stickler. What about you, Marz? How'd you feel about it?
My biggest thing is, like, she's so, like, known now for her, like, lukewarm stances on things. So, like, this wasn't even her pledging support or anything. She just liked a post. That doesn't even really tell us where she might just like Taylor Swift and might have just liked the post in support of Taylor Swift. Doesn't exactly mean, I'm not saying that she is before they start coming, but, you know, apparently they've already switched sides. But it's like, the fact that she got such a response from something so lukewarm is what fascinates me the most. Like, those people are unhinged.
Crazy, bro.
They're unhinged, and they've been like that.
Crazy.
And the way, like, I do be in the comments, mainly, I don't be on Instagram, but I be on Twitter, and whenever there's something that happens with either of them, January will send me a few tweets, and I'll just go through just to be like, what are these crazy saying today? And it's always like, they always assume that anytime someone is praising Angel, it is directly to downplay Caitlyn. So I'm curious to see now where, I'm really happy, one, that these people are leaving the WNBA audience, because they never liked the WNBA to begin with. They just wanted to rally behind one white player that was doing well in a black-dominated league, specifically dominated by black women. That was very important for them. So I'm curious to see what her fan base looks like now. And then, you know, like you said, I am curious to see if she says anything. I have no hope. I really doubt that she will.
At all.
She doesn't talk about anything. She acts like she doesn't see anything. We all use the same internet, girl.
You're online.
You're online. Please save it. So yeah, she's probably just gonna let a few more weeks go by, and then, I mean, honestly, it's already old news. This was pre-assassination and pre-Diddy, so we're already onto something. But yeah. So, you know, I hate to see it. I hope she does the right thing, but we know how that goes. Moving on.
Right.
Moving on. So, we have the arrest. Let's give it up. We did it. We did it, John. Finally, that monster, that actual evil. And you know what? I hate him so much that I'm talking about Diddy, if just so we're all on the same page. Diddy was finally arrested under racketeering and so many other heinous charges. Someone compiled a list of all 10 charges, and I think it's important to read this out, just to really get the full extent of like how insane he was. So let's get into it. Charge number 1, racketeering conspiracy. If you're unfamiliar with the term, it basically just means when you have a business and you pretend that business is for business, but it's really for illegal things. That's all that means. So, racketeering conspiracy, Sean Combs accused of leading a criminal enterprise known as the Combs Enterprise from at least 2008 onwards. This enterprise included his businesses, such as Bad Boy Entertainment and Combs Enterprises, and was allegedly involved in a wide range of illegal activities, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Criminal enterprise. The indictment describes Combs' business empire, including Bad Boy Entertainment and Combs Enterprises, as integral to the Combs Enterprise, a criminal organization that uses its influence and resources to facilitate and cover up criminal acts. So he was using Combs Industries or whatever as the cover-up for all of his things. Sorry. This is bothering me.
Okay.
All right. Number 3, systematic abuse. The indictment details a pervasive and ongoing pattern of abuse towards women and others. Combs allegedly coerced, manipulated, and abused women to fulfill his personal desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his criminal conduct. This abuse was not limited to sexual exploitation, but also included to verbal, emotional, and physical violence. Number 4, orchestrated freak-offs. Combs organized freak-offs, elaborate and coercive sexual performances involving male sex workers and female victims. The events were meticulously planned and involved the use of drugs, threats, and manipulation to ensure compliance from participants. Violence and coercion. The indictment details multiple instances of violence from Combs, including hitting, dragging, and threatening victims and witnesses. He allegedly used firearms to imitate and maintain control, with incidents of public and recorded assaults, including a high-profile case in Los Angeles hotel, which was with Cassie. Combs also used threats of violence and brandished firearms to intimidate those around him. Roles of associates. Combs' associates, including security staff, personal assistants, and other employees, were complicit in his criminal activities. They helped arrange logistics for freak-offs, supplied drugs, managed victim movements, and assisted in covering up abuse. So everyone on payroll is evil. Obstruction of justice. Combs and his associates allegedly engaged in multiple efforts to obstruct justice, including bribing witnesses, intimidating victims, and coaching them to provide false statements to protect Combs from legal consequences. Weapons possession. Law enforcement searched Combs' residences and uncovered firearms, including AR-15 rifles with defaced serial numbers, further illustrating the use of threats and violence within the Combs enterprise. Sex trafficking and forced labor. The indictment includes multiple counts related to forced labor and sex trafficking. Combs is accused of coercing victims into engaging in commercial sex acts, often through force, threats, or manipulation. He is also charged with transporting individuals across state lines for the purpose of prostitution and other illegal sexual activities. Forfeiture of assets. So Combs faces potential forfeiture of assets gained through criminal activities, including proceeds from racketeering, sex trafficking, and other illegal acts. The government may pursue substitute assets if specific properties cannot be located or recovered. So essentially, whatever he made under Combs' enterprise, that's the government's money now. And if they can't find it, they'll do other means to do so. So all of that to say, he's going under the jail. Under. Amen. Don't even throw away the key. Swallow it. Amen. And you know what? For someone who, as myself, who is so anti-prison and wants to reform that system, when it comes to these bastards like this, I'll be Kamala dancing. Hey, I'm telling you. They talking about some y'all celebrating a man go to jail. I'm telling you. If I could tap dance, I would. And I ain't lying.
I know you're not. That's why I'm laughing so hard.
And I ain't, and I'm so serious.
Man. Nah, no, I think like it's just surreal because like we've heard stories for so long of like everything, and like even then, Fred, and you just sitting there like, how is he getting away with this? And like it's just actually crazy that he thought he could get away with it. Like there is a part of him that I know he thought that it was just gonna be scot free, and it's like I agree with you too. Like I'm not for the prison system, and like especially because of how black and brown people are treated. Like there's no way like prisons actually help for real. They just are for profit. But I just with Diddy, like, and of course he's so far gone now, but something happened for you to be this diabolical, for you to literally like just like do these to people's kids. Like this is disgusting. All the lubricants in the body, baby oil, whatever that they found, but then also the IVs that they found for
so that's what everybody talking about.
So what happened is he would like essay the people so much and like force them to be in sexual acts so much that they would be dehydrated, and he had IVs on deck that he would force them to take to put and get back to it. That's what people talk about. It's sick. Something's gone. I don't know. Like they say, like serial killers and stuff. Like they usually are dropped on their head as a kid, but I don't know. I don't.
Miles, I'm giving you creative discretion. They need to put 6 dead at his chest. I'm sorry. Maybe jail isn't enough. An IV.
An IV.
I thought the freak offs were wild.
IVs
Oh wow.
for victims.
Oh
it's
wow.
like really sick. I'm kind of nervous to see all the things that we find out.
It's gonna be
once the trial goes. Like,
the industry is shaking. Everyone is scared, and they should be. However many it takes, that's however many it takes. I don't know these people. I may like their music. I may have grown up listening to them. I may have, at once looked up to whoever. I don't care who it is. Line them up. Mm-hmm. Go, 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 go. I don't care. Who's next? Go, go. I don't care. I don't. They talking about Trey Songz next. I would love to see the day. I would love to see the day. And there's another thing that I really wanted to touch on that I saw on Twitter, which is that when they're building these cases, right? Because to put into context or to give an example, let's say you steal from Target. You steal from Target over a certain amount of time. All they do is collect that information until it gets to a certain point to where they can really drop the hammer on you on a serious charge of theft. Which is essentially what they did with him. They had been monitoring him for years. They had been collecting his information for years. And while that ensures a rougher sentence or whatever, or something to stick on behalf of the FBI or whomever it was that had been investigating all this time, that unfortunately means that while they were watching this, they were allowing more victims to be funneled through this system. And I don't like that. I don't know why we couldn't have stopped this in 2000, in 2010, in 2015. We're in 2024, and he's getting stuck with a racketeering charge, no bail. Like, I get it. They had to be able to make sure that they could really get this guy. But that's just the part of the whole system that I don't like, is so many people could have been saved. Yeah. Is how I see it. And it just hurts my heart. But blessings and prayers to Cassie. She hasn't spoken. But so much of this would not have put in motion the way that it has had she not come forward. So she is so strong and she is so brave. I would not have been able to be that brave. Because like you said, he thought he was completely untouchable. He really did. Never thought that this day would come. So someone like that, someone that had been with him for 2 decades or however long they were together, like, do you know the type of strength that took? Especially when all of this is going on to make sure that people stay silent, he has teams of people to ensure that people don't say a word or they will be disappeared. Friend, let me ask you something.
What's up, friend?
You think he killed Tupac?
I think he killed Tupac and Biggie. I do.
Whoa!
I do.
Whoa! Why both?
Because I know for sure Biggie, I feel like, because I know Biggie conspiracy is that he was planning on leaving. Bad Boy. And, whatever. And then Tupac, I think also, like, Tupac coming back with, like, the diss records and just, like, the contention and stuff, like, I mean, it's gonna it would make, and I think it would make Diddy more money at the end of the day, because like having that beef and then him dying like that, then it like caused like, oh shoot, let me listen to Biggie, like it caused more promotion and attention. I think he did both of them, to be honest. Allegedly, that's my thoughts. Allegedly.
Sprinkle. Forgot about that part. So yeah. Throw some allegeds in there, Miles, for us. Thank you so much. All alleged. So let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, okay. I know what I'm missing. So yeah, prayers to Cassie. Diddy deserves only the worst, and jail is not enough. And you know what that means. Trying to keep it you know, we trying to stay on YouTube.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's get into it. Final topic. SAMYRA. SAMYRA is a TikToker. She's a plus size creator, and she be making music low key. But I don't know if she considers herself an artist. But she is pretty infamous for this series that she does, where she'll go to the mall and go to different department stores and see what the plus size section looks like, and half the time it's doo-doo ass garbage, but because it is, and she talks about it, and she talks about how the disparity between what collections and what styles, are continued to offer to plus size people compared to what are offered to the straight and small sizes. It's insane. Just add more fabric. Why do we only get florals and horizontal stripes and peplums and like the shirts with the like weird sleeves and stuff like why? And so she just continuously brings awareness to that, which is important and needed and deserves to be talked about always, because we'll get into why. So there is another creator. She is a comedian. Her name is TACARRA, and she had responded to one of SAMYRA's videos, essentially being like, to paraphrase, if you're tired of the sizing options that are for big people, then lose weight, then be small, then stop being a 3X. And this is coming from someone who was a self-proclaimed 1X. I'll allow January to answer that part. But she essentially says, and I'm not skinny, I'm plus size too, I'm a 1X. And,
sure.
If you're tired of what the sizing is offering and blah, 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 then maybe you should be smaller, essentially. And SAMYRA did this incredible thing where she may have responded verbally only once. What she would do is, because TACARRA was responding to her on Instagram, so she was posting stuff on Instagram, and SAMYRA was posting on TikTok to her following. And what SAMYRA would do is she would take TACARRA's video, put it up in the corner, and be like reading, or like drinking a smoothie, or like doing her nails, and it's just TACARRA crashing out at the fact that she's like, of course you would play the victim, blah 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 blah. You're so, and mind you, she says nothing. She just lets the video play in full so you can see and hear exactly what she says, and you can form your own conclusions from there. So it has now sparked this very wide conversation. I mean, the conversation has been happening this entire year with the rise of Ozempic and everyone doing everything that they possibly can to make sure that they are not fat. It has made things incredibly volatile, and it's a horrible place right now for fat people. So, January, thoughts?
Yeah, so I'd seen the discourse on TikTok. I'd seen SAMYRA's Old Navy video talking about the disparities between plus sizes and regular and smaller sizes. And I'd seen the video she had posted of TACARRA or whatever, and she actually was reading Fearing the Black Body in one of the videos, which is a book that I recommend for everybody. It's just crazy, like on TACARRA's end, just like the internalized fat phobia, and it's just crazy how it's just like rampant now. And I wish people would just see how it's again just like white supremacist patriarchal ideals, like our bodies, like I feel like as black bodies, like we're not all supposed to be super skinny. Like it's not, we're all diverse. And I think not acknowledging the systems that are at play that are causing us to be stressed out, not have access to food and all this stuff, like why can't we just ask for nicer clothes in a section? Like I don't understand if it benefits you why you're so against it, but also like us as black people, we really have to think about this, because as Marz was saying, she's not a 1X. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to body shame, love everybody, but let's be honest, you're not a 1X. You're trying to be a pick-me in this situation, and all it's doing is giving you less clothes to wear. I don't understand this. Like I feel like we will never be free because you do the work for the oppressor. They don't even have to do nothing. They know you gonna do it. For you
Why
to
buy the cow when I can get the milk for free?
If these companies really wanted to, they would. They have in the past when we forced the issue and we really pushed for it. Why are you the deterrent? We will never be free, and you know that's how I feel about it. That's how I feel.
We will discuss this more in a specific fat phobia episode, but I just have one thing to say. My thing is, right? We've already established she's not a 1X. That was a fallacy and a falsehood, and you're living in a false reality, diva. So we already knew that from the way that you've responded to SAMYRA, but just to even really get into it even more, just because you have an hourglass shape or flat stomach, that makes you think you're not fat? Fat is fat. Fat is fat is fat. And it's not a bad word. It's a description. It's a description. So it's literally a phobia. Like I said, we will discuss this more. But you having flat stomach, you having, thin waist, the rest is fat. It's fat. You're fat. If you were in China, you're fat. Okay? So let's just call a thing a thing. You were in China, if you were in most parts of Europe, if you were anywhere outside of the US, that would be fat. You having thin waist, no stomach, small back, don't matter. Still fat. So who are we fighting? What are we fighting about? Pot and kettle? It's so silly. It's so silly. You're crazy.
Actually insane. It's actually insane.
Get a grip.
The definition of insanity.
Get a freaking grip. No, so we will talk about this more because it literally is a phobia. They act all the time as if it's just we're not being serious with the phobia part. You are literally deathly afraid of being perceived as a larger person. It is a fear. But we will discuss more. So that's our media segment, y'all. It was a whole lot, but we got through it.
It was a lot going on. Thank you, Marz, because it was a lot. So we appreciate all your hard work and your effort. So thank you. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so we're gonna get into more of a serious topic.
Yes.
So just trigger warning. We will be talking about sexual assault. We will be talking about unaliving of intimate partners. Because the topic for today is femininity and femicide. Recent things that have happened. We're gonna get into it. So if this is a little too hard or a little too deep right now, it's okay to just stop now, and we'll see you guys next week. But if you guys are okay, you feel like you're in the right mind, then let's get into it. So we're gonna talk about it. So this initially came up for me after hearing about Rebecca Cheptegei. She was a Ugandan runner. She was living in Kenya at the time of her death, but she actually had finished 44th in the marathon at the Paris Olympics. She actually was in an argument with her partner, her ex partner, and he became upset, doused her with gasoline, and then proceeded to light her on fire. She died of her injuries at the hospital. She had 80% of her body just burned. And she passed away at the age of 33, and she leaves behind 2 daughters. So it was really tough hearing about this because this isn't the first time that this has happened to an Olympic runner in Kenya, in African nations, but specifically in Kenya. There is an issue with women athletes being unalived by their partners. Marz, have you heard of Rebecca Cheptegei? Have you heard of the story? What's your point of view?
the moment I think the announcement of her death happened, it was all I could see. And I mean, this is why we really wanted to discuss this topic, because femicide is something that's going on worldwide, and it is rampant, and it is getting worse. And her story is unfortunately not rare, but it's still, every single time I am reading one of these, it is like, I think it takes a piece of my soul at this point. Like, it has been rough. It has been very taxing having to consume what is going on everywhere, in regards to femicide, outside of everything else that's already happening. So it immediately made me think of another case that's actively going on. I'm not sure if you had more to discuss with her case, but this has less to do with femicide and more to just do with the just complete disregard for femme presenting people in this point in time that we're in right now. I'm not sure if you've been following this story, but this is happening in France. There was a man that drugged his wife for I'm not sure how many years it was, but he would bring people, so almost a decade, and he would bring men to assault her, to essay her, to do and use her as they wish. And several of the men had STIs, HIV positive, and I think the part that makes me the most is that he had asked many men, several, and every single one that he offered that declined, not a single one of them reported it. Not a single one. So it's that same, it just feels really like the same realm of just complete and utter disregard and deliberate evil. Like, I don't know how else to, it's a deliberate and direct evil for women at this point in time.
Yeah, no, I definitely have heard of that story, and it's just a really great example of just like how men are protected when they subscribe to the patriarchy, and then how they're like vilified for leaning towards femininity or like caring about women, and it just goes to show how the this toxic masculinity, misogyny is protected in this way. Because reading up more on femicide in Kenya particularly, a lot of these men don't end up in jail very long. A lot of them can run away, or they're in jail and they're let out by somebody they know. And it's really hard, and I feel like it's not taken seriously because, especially in Kenya, it's very like the woman needs to be passive, needs to be submissive, and they're just expected to be docile for their men, and so like it's just like a common thing of like, oh, okay, it happened, it's a shame, but unless it like is embarrassing to the country, they don't really see it as important, which is like what I'm noticing with the Rebecca Cheptegei murder, but also with some of the other women who are also unalived by their partners, which I'll go into in a minute. I want to go over the term femicide. So femicide encompasses various forms of violence against women, including domestic violence, SA, honor killings, and dowry related deaths, which is crazy to think about. If y'all aren't familiar, dowries are like they're supposed to be illegal, but essentially like when you're in like some other nations, like you'll hear about it in African nations, but like some other nations that still kind of do it, when you're getting married, let's say the man is like courting the woman, the woman's family will give up the woman for a price. So maybe a bride price or whatever. It's supposed to be illegal, but it's still being done. And in that, sometimes there's dowry-related deaths, which I thought was crazy to think about. So,
wow.
So yeah, that's it. Just really puts into perspective. But then, we'll talk about comparisons to the U.S. in a minute. But yeah, so Rebecca Cheptegei, like, she's the most recent person or woman to be unalived due to femicide. But there was also a Kenyan runner named Agnes Tirop, who was murdered in 2021. She was also an Olympian. And actually, one of her fellow Kenyan runners, her name's Viola Cheptegei, has a nonprofit she started called Tirop's Angels, which combats domestic violence against women and people. And it's just crazy because in Kenya, like, people are just like, men just think they're entitled to kill or to unalive their partners, which we talked about in the Manosphere episode. We also talked about that with stud culture. We talked about that in the Sedona Prince episode. And, you know, I think people at times, they think toxic masculinity is cute at first, or when it's small and it's not that big of a deal. But more and more, it's allowing more people, men, women, or people, to feel entitled to take a life. And more than coincidentally, it's women or femme-presenting people. And we really need to interrogate that. We need to really think about it. Okay, I wanted to ask you, Marz, how many women and girls do you think were unalived by their intimate partners in 2022 in the world? UN did a report on femicide. Like, how many women do you think, or girls do you think, were like unalived by their intimate partners?
Like, how many in blank, or like a percentage?
Nah, it's like a number, like in the thousands.
10.
48,800 women and girls were killed by their intimate partners or family members in 2022, according to the UN's report on femicide. So broken down, that's more than 133 women a day are unalived by their family member or intimate partner. So that's the most recent number. And to expound on that, women are 66% of the victims in intimate partner unalivings in the United States. And they said that the United States, it's grown exponentially in the last 4 years. They said like 2019, 2020 is when they saw a big jump, which, you know, the lockdown, right? But also with the proliferation of guns and no real gun control, and the more you're taking access away from women and their rights, people who have like vaginas and like aren't women, they're people, their rights are being taken away. Like, when you take away the rights and you give the entitlement idea of like women don't deserve things, people don't deserve things, like, then you're making it okay for them to not be worth anything. And I think that's what we definitely were seeing at the end of Trump's presidency, obviously, into now, because we haven't even tried to codify any of the rights we still have for women or people, and we haven't even tried to get Roe v. Wade like back. Like, I mean, of course, I guess they've tried, but like it should be back by now. I don't understand how it's not. So
did they? Like, press the button.
They claim that. Like, it's not hard.
Press the button. You're literally the president.
If you wanted, you would. If you wanted to, you would. Because I just don't understand that. I don't understand that. But we'll probably do an episode on that. But, yeah, how does it feel, friend, to hear those numbers? Like, how does that affect you? What are you feeling right now?
That was rough. Almost cried because I don't know how anyone could hear that or see that and still not think that the red pill pipeline is not an issue, or these manosphere men that perpetuate, the white supremacist ideals aren't an issue. I don't know, it feels like we're living in two different realities right now. Like, when the men and bear, or man versus bear conversation was going on, like, all the women saying I'll pick the bear, and them being that confused as to why a woman would rather deal with a wild bear than a man, a human man, a random human man. And they're still confused.
Yeah.
This is why they're picking the bear.
Yeah.
We know what a bear's gonna do every single time. The bear don't know me. It might eat me. It might walk away. A man will not. Is much less predictable than a bear.
Yeah, it's actually really scary. It's scary because I think too, like, in these realities, like, I think there's different, but then they're starting to merge in a really scary way, and just to see the numbers are just like continuously like going up all around the world, especially terms like trans femicide, which I didn't even know was a term but makes sense, and femicide. Like, it's just really, we need to check men or people who identify as men, because I think in their insecurities and their fear of losing their stronghold in society and in power, they're lashing out.
Yes. They're
lashing out, and they can't control their emotions that they say we have and can't control, right? Like, and it's turning into people dying, deaths, like actual deaths. So, yeah, I don't have an answer to a solution. Like, going through these numbers and reading these stories, it was just really just, it's just like, what do? You feel defenseless. But, people are still fighting. I know, like, because I kind of am still tapped into South African Twitter, so I've seen them doing marches and protests for femicide, against like femicide and women's rights. And technically Kenya does have a law protecting domestic violence victims, but the argument now is that we need actual protections against femicide. Because one issue that they're definitely having is like, so like these Olympians, they go, they do well, they come back, they get prize money, right, for like going and honoring their country. They come back and men are like, I'm the head of a household, you need to give me that money. They take the money, they do whatever with it. So some of these Olympians are like, no, that's my money. Or, and I think in Rebecca's case, I think she had land, and I think they were arguing over like a land dispute or something, even though I think it was rightly hers. And he was like, no, it's mine or whatever. And so it'll be stuff like that where they're like, I'm the man of the house, I should just get everything you have. Like, what's yours is mine is mine. And I think that's what's at the root of it, because it's like, how dare you as a woman disrespect me as a man, even though I have done nothing. I deserve all that you've earned. So yeah, there needs to be more protections. I think personally, if we focus on trans femicide, it helps all of femicide victims. So my thought is, we focus on making sure trans women are protected in their legislation, and I think it will help open up to all victims being protected with femicide. Because I feel like the most marginalized, whenever you help the most marginalized, it helps everybody else.
Every time.
Every time. We've seen it. It's been proven. Civil rights movement, like, y'all all benefited. So that is the episode. That is femininity and femicide. Marz, what are your closing thoughts? How do you feel about everything?
Closing thoughts. You had mentioned a point about men thinking that they're not emotional or that women are too emotional. And someone made such an insightful counterpoint to that on Twitter. I wish I could find it, but I'm sure you probably saw it. It was basically, I'm paraphrasing, that men believe that women are too emotional because they don't see anger as an emotion. And it has stuck with me since I saw it, and it's so, like, they don't see that as being, like, anger is a birthright as a man, like, being aggressive and angry, and that is masculine, that is what is manly. And all of, like, it all funnels down into this. They think that by pushing these ideals, that by forcing toxic masculinity, as you pointed out, by forcing men to believe that they can't be in touch with anything, femphobia, all of it, it all trickles down into this, the death of non-men. Day after day after day, 130 something a day. If nothing else can stick with you, that will keep me up at night for the time being, because a day, that is startling statistics, horrifying information. And that whole point of when you had mentioned in 2020 that there was a spike because everybody was at home, the fact that I was on Twitter and saw everyone calling that before it happened, that they knew that domestic violence was going to rise by everyone being forced to stay home, that they foresaw such influx in that statistics.
Sick.
So I say all of that to say, if you are watching this and you have kids and they are young boys between the ages of whatever, it doesn't even matter. You have to be the change. You have to. This has to end with us. It has to. We will not continue as a species. We simply won't.
We won't. And it'll help them to be more emotionally intact, to be better humans, to just really catch it early and just talk to them, let them express themselves in a non-harmful way. Because I think the detriment that these boys are experiencing that end up turning into these men is they don't have the space to properly express other forms of emotion besides anger. I mean, to know that that's the only emotion you could freely express, that's scary. I don't know, that's gotta be, it's horrifying. So yeah, Marz, I agree with you. One, I think that needs to be acknowledged by especially cis straight men, that anger is an emotion, and if not handled properly, it's detrimental to all of society. And also, if you know better, do better. So if you're watching this, you have a nephew or whoever in your life where you're hey, I need to talk to you, I need to check in on you, do it. Because this is insane. And I think the way that the whole world is trying to cling on to conservative fascist views, it's just gonna get worse.
Yeah.
So we actually have to stop this right now. So yeah, that was the episode for today, y'all. Very somber, but rest in peace to all the women and victims who are affected by femicide and trans femicide daily. Praying for their families, praying for their souls, and just praying for everybody that's listening, that if this has touched you or it's making you feel a way, or you have thoughts, please leave a comment, let us know. We love interacting with you all. And yeah, share, subscribe. Yeah, we will see y'all next week. Thanks for watching. Y'all.